This is Tyrese Haliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Pace.
And for the second time in back-to-back years, the Indiana Pacers are heading to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Indiana Pacers take down the Cleveland Cavaliers on their home court, 114-105. Welcome to Setting the Pace. I'm your host, Alex Golden, and joining me is your go-to guy. He's got a little extra pep in his step as he's walking his way to the Eastern Conference Finals. It is Michael J. Facci. Facci, what's up, brother?
I got that this ain't a fluke pep in the step. That back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals pep in the step. That we could win a championship pep in the step. And I don't know if it's ever been more peppin' than the step that I got right now, Alex.
Never been more pepper than the step I got
Never,
right.
never been more peppin'. I'm coming out of my own skin right now. I mean, what we just witnessed is everything you hope for. From the start of the game, which was downright disgusting, to this team might not have a killer instinct, to when we saw them flip the switch and turn it on. I mean, this is everything you hoped for and knew this team was capable. To finish off the Cavs in five is something that nobody predicted. We saw from the media. Not one person predicted the Pacers to win, like national media, but to pick the Pacers in five, that sounded like a dream.
Yeah, the Pacers absolutely take advantage of this Cavaliers team. You could tell they were not at full strength, and they
Yes.
were up 44-25 in this game, and it felt like the Cavaliers are going to push this to a game six. And then all of a sudden, Tyrese Haliburton does what he does best and close out games, Facci. Unbelievable statistics from Tyrese Haliburton tonight: 31 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, 10 of 15 from the field, 4 of 5 from two, and 6 of 10 from three. He was everywhere tonight. And then let's talk about they called it a steal, but let's talk about that block that he had at the end of the game that led to an and one that pretty much put the icing on the cake before Turner's corner three. This was a man unleashed tonight. And this is what we've been wanting to see from Tyrese this whole series. We've seen moments from him, obviously, the game winner in game two. But let's talk about this game tonight from Tyrese Haliburton. He put this team on his back from the second quarter on, and they were unstoppable with him with the ball in his hands.
I was worried early on. Tyrese picks up two early fouls. I mean, nearly a third when Donovan Mitchell had a steal on him. So I was like, okay, he's in foul trouble. 2 points in the first quarter. Man, this has just been sluggish lately. The last two games before this one, Tyrese had 15 points combined. But Tyrese in a closeout game, now he's starting to build a resume on this, where the closeout game against, the Milwaukee Bucks with the game winner, the closeout game in game seven against the Knicks. Like, he's had now quite a few closeout games. The 31 points, I had to look it up. That's his most dating back to February.
Mm.
February 26th, he scored 33 points. Tyrese saving his asked to dust off Cleveland and send him on vacation. I mean, this was a guy that when he got it dialed in from 3 point land, there was times that he could not miss. But that play that you're talking about of doing it on both ends, that just felt like it showed the signs of how he's grown defensively this year. Is he a modern day Ron Artest? No, absolutely not. But he's had plenty of moments defensively throughout, this series, last series, where he's had blocks, he's had steals, but to do it on both ends, especially when we needed him to close it out, man, this guy is as advertised. He is special.
Facci, it was 44-25 with about 7 minutes and 55 seconds in the second quarter left. Okay. The Pacers go on a 27-12 run to cut the Cavaliers' lead to four at half. Tyrese Haliburton during that stretch had 15 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. He went 5 of 5 from three, and the Pacers shot 7 of 10 from the free throw line and 9 of 15 from the field during that stretch. An unbelievable run for the Pacers just to get themselves back in the game, and they sucked every bit of life out of the Cavs arena. The Cavs tried, their fans tried to get them back into it at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth. Ty Jerome finally gets into the game. He starts to actually do some positive stuff,
Yeah.
but it wasn't enough. And honestly, it really just comes down to the Cavaliers could not do anything outside on the arc. Everything they did was inside the paint. It was at the rim inside the restricted area. They could not really get anything generated from outside, and it took them a while to finally get doing that. But I think Indiana just attacked and attacked and attacked. And like, this is one thing with this Pacers team. They're not rattled when they get down big like this. And this is the sign of a mature team, Facci. I'm telling you right now, this team last year does not win this game five, knowing they have game six at home because they can rest on that and say, okay, we're just going to go home and win this one. This team came out to kill tonight, and that is exactly what I wanted to see. They took care of business. They gave the Cavs no life, and then back-to-back series, they win in 5. Now, Facci, they are 8-2 in the playoffs.
8-2 in the playoffs. I mean, this is impressive what we're seeing. When you're down 19, it's easy to fold like a lawn chair and just say, "Hey, you know what? Let's start to empty the bench a little bit, or let's take it easy. We're gonna live to see another day. We're gonna play at home. We're playing with house money. However you want to look at it, they never gave up. They never gave up. That first quarter was abysmal. They looked terrible. They had turnovers left and right, missing free throws, fouling nonstop. It looked like Donovan Mitchell, despite the ankle injury, was going to have a big game. Indiana nearly holds him scoreless for the second and third quarter. Donovan Mitchell got his first basket after the first quarter with about 30 seconds to go in the third quarter. They did incredible to really take him out of this game. And when you mentioned that the Cavs couldn't buy anything from three, they had this game 9 threes made in this game. A couple of them came late. They had about 6 or 7 threes really with a handful of minutes left in this game. So Indiana, incredible from the perimeter. They did a great job on Donovan Mitchell. I know he got some baskets late that might have, beefed up his stats, but a lot of his damage came from the free throw line. But things like Max Strus, who had a couple of big performances in this series. They took Max Strus out of this game. He was scoreless. He was 0 of 9. Ty Jerome became someone they had big expectations for coming into this series that almost looked like he wasn't going to get off the bench today. The Pacers defense, which used to be a mockery about a year ago, has now become something that people better take notice of, because this team is not just all about offense. They are doing it on both ends.
Max Strus told his Cavalier teammates, we heard this about 5 different times throughout the broadcast,
he did.
if you don't believe that we can come back and win this game,
Don't get on the plane.
Don't show up for the game. Max Strus, 0 of 9 from the field.
Thanks.
Puts up a goose egg and got absolutely roasted the entire game. So they were picking him apart. Anytime that they got that switch with Siakam on Strus, they would just pound it to Siakam and get him going, or Turner, whoever had the mismatch. And I thought they did a very good job of attacking Darius Garland in this game as well. Clearly, you could tell Donovan Mitchell was not 100%, which makes his injury for not returning for Game 4 legitimate. There was a lot of questions. Oh, did he really just not come back because they were down by 41 points? Look, I hate to say it to you, but Donovan Mitchell is one of the greatest players I've seen against the Pacers in the playoffs. I just respect everything that he did. I didn't love the whistle that he got throughout this series, but for the most part, he's such a likable guy. I can't say enough great things about him and the grit that he played with, the hustle that he played with. Look, Darius Garland, I give him a lot of credit too for playing through that injury. You could tell he was limping out there, but man, he was really struggling from the field. His percentage was really bad tonight, but Donovan Mitchell just made things happen. And after he missed 3 straight free throws in a row when he had a chance to cut this to 3, he hits a corner 3 to cut it to 3 again. So he just, he never gives up, and he has this, knock on him now. A guy that's never been out of the second round of the playoffs, and so never made it to a conference finals. But man, he is one of the greatest scorers I've seen in NBA history in terms of just his ability to get to the basket and just to create things. So I just want to give him some props here before we keep talking about our Pacers, because he was terrific tonight. Even hobbled 35 points. I mean, got to give him a lot of respect.
He didn't need my respect, but he definitely earned it. Donovan Mitchell, all you can ask for is your hurt players, your franchise guys to be out there and give it that effort, and he did. I'm sure he was more hurt than we know. Still puts up 35, rough shooting game. The 3 free throws that he missed, I've never seen anything like that before. That the man was clearly gassed. I know that he did make up for it with that 3, but thank God he missed those 3 free throws, because for him to hit that 3 on the other end, that would have tied things up if he hit the 3 free throws. So that was really a turning point in this game, honestly, because Mitchell goes to the line down 6, and for 3 free throws, he misses them all. If he hits those, things could change, and things really went in the other direction. Indiana ends up kind of pushing ahead. Andrew Nembhard has an and one that was just massive. You talked on a little bit before, and we'll get to it again, but the Turner 3 that he hits, Indiana found ways to, when Cleveland got close, they made the winning plays, the mature plays, the team that has been there. This is not their first Eastern Conference Finals run, and it makes a big difference. I know you could say last year, maybe it was flukish. Maybe we did run into teams that had injuries, but this team's different, and they made the plays down the stretch when they needed to make the plays. And I just thought that they've done it now time and time again, that in crunch time they have delivered. So I could not be more proud of this group. I think we gave the Cavs their flowers. They did have injuries. They tried to battle through it. They had a great regular season, and it's very unfortunate. We see injuries happen. But we've always said the best ability is availability. The Pacers have stayed healthy. And right now we got a couple more days to be able to rest up and get everything together and go on, what is a true championship worthy run.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely get into more of what the next series will look like because we still don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, some devastating news last night. Jason Tatum does tear his Achilles. He does have season-ending surgery. Now the Celtics back home for a Game 5 without their best player. Can they extend this series against the Knicks? I think if you're a Pacer fan right now, you can make the case that you kind of want the Celtics to come back and win this series because they are weaker without Jason Tatum. If you love the rivalry of Hicks versus Knicks, then you're hoping the Knicks pull out this series so we can have another rematch. I'm curious to see how you feel about it because you've got a lot of Knicks friends that will definitely be letting you hear it, and I'm sure they already are letting you hear it. But I will just say this. I don't really care. I do care a little bit. I'll tell you who I care about, like who I want to win. But I just think that, if this does go 7 games between the Knicks and the Celtics, if the Celtics can push it with a couple of victories here, because they're still talented enough to compete. I mean, the Celtics without Jason Tatum, to me, are better than the Detroit Pistons, who pushed the Knicks to the brink. So we'll see what they can do. But I'm just saying, if they can push us to 7 games, that does benefit the Pacers a lot as they're resting and getting prep and practice-wise just to push this series. So hopefully we see a longer series between the Celtics and the Knicks.
And like we said, look, you're never hoping for injuries, but we do know how reliant the Knicks are on their starting lineups. If they end up playing a few more games, like 2 more games, whatever, 3 more, whatever it may be, you're talking about a lot of those starters playing about 40 minutes a night. So that would be a lot more wear and tear. We obviously know that the Knicks broke down last year against the Pacers. But yeah, obviously living in the New York area, all my friends are going wild about this, saying, we got to go to a game. And I'm telling you guys right now, I know it's a story for another day. I ain't ruling it out. Look, I
better not go.
I've done my part for a long time, but missing Game 7 in the Garden when the Pacers closed it out is something I will regret for the rest of my life. So that's a story for another day. We'll get to that. I know a couple people just got, shaking in their boots at the thought of that and given the bad luck that I've had. But for right now, let's just focus on what happened tonight. Let's talk about our Indiana Pacers and what we saw, because this starting 5, they absolutely brought it tonight. I think from each starter, they had moments throughout this game that really carried us. I mean, we already talked about how brilliant Tyrese Haliburton was, but he wasn't the only Pacer that really delivered tonight. Who do you want to touch on next?
I think Pascal Siakam deserves some flowers right now. Obviously, didn't shoot a great percentage from the field, but still put in a lot of points and had a lot of big baskets when you needed them the most. Him and Tyrese had that nice little pick and roll going where he had a big 3. Just so many good moments from Pascal. And look, he had some points there too when he was in there with some of the bench units, and obviously this was kind of a weird game where you really couldn't play the bench too much. They were not able to bring much of anything to this game tonight. You could tell Mathurin seemed a little bit rattled at times early on with whatever happened in Game 4 when he got ejected. I think he was doing a very good job of trying not to be the irritant. I don't know how to say that right, but just being that guy, irritant. I just enunciated the E at the beginning of irritant. But
got it.
Anyway, sorry, that's just me being stupid. I just feel like he was too worried about just trying to stay composed and not let that get the best of him. But that's not the best version of Mathurin. We know when Mathurin's chirping, that's the best version of Mathurin. So I'm hoping that if they do play the Knicks, we see a lot of Ben Mathurin chirping with a Josh Hart, things like that, and hopefully he can make him pay. We've seen Mathurin put up 38 points against the Knicks earlier this year, so we know Mathurin can play in that series, and we know that he can be a difference maker, but I just think that the bench didn't have it tonight, and there was moments when Siakam really had some big moments, and I just feel like he was incredible. But another guy that you mentioned too earlier, Andrew Nembhard, I mean, he kind of kept the Pacers afloat early on just to give them any bit of offense. And so I felt like he, from the get-go, was just locked in. You could tell, oh, yeah, this is going to be a good Nembhard game because of the way he shot the basketball and drove and created offense for this team. So anyway, those are the 2 guys that probably stand out the most to me outside of Tyrese, obviously, being the star of the game.
Nembhard had it going early on. He had 6 points, and I mean the Pacers only scored 19 in the quarter, but he had six of our first, I don't know, 10 or so points. And I felt like he just Nembhard is a little bit of a, it opens up a lot when he's hitting from three. He was 3 of 6 in this game. He had some big corner threes. He had 6 assists of his own. 18 points for Andrew Nembhard is a great game. This is a guy who averaged 10 in the regular season. So, he's had some big games in this series. 18 points in the closeout game, 23 points in game one, the 13 points, 13 assists in game two. Like when Nembhard has it going, I mean, what this guy's doing right now is like, I've said it before. I'm not trying to sound like a broken record, but he's taken his game to the next level. In this series, he averaged 14 points, 7 assists on 52% shooting and 50% from three. He shot 50% from three against the Bucks in that series. This is a man that was not a good three-point shooter during the regular season. There was times he couldn't buy a three. So I love what I'm seeing right now. He's been fantastic. But the defense, he was really just hounding Donovan Mitchell at times. Mitchell, like I said, nearly scoreless for the second and third quarter. I mean, whether he's hurt or not, you got to give Nembhard a lot of credit because I just felt like whoever he was guarding, he always made it tough, for that Cavalier.
No, absolutely. I mean, Nembhard was just terrific, and we'll see what happens whoever they play next series, right? Jalen Brunson has been a man on a mission in the playoffs. If the Pacers play the Knicks, is Nembhard going to draw that matchup once again, or do you put Nesmith on him to start out? We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, that's a major talking point because Nesmith definitely defended Brunson way better. I remember it was a big part of, I don't want to say a big part of the reason why we lost game one and two, but Brunson had his way in game one and two. And I felt like it was really when we made that switch to Nesmith that things changed. And I know we'll get into all that, but it just shows
it's a year ago. I mean, things have changed so much. How much has Nembhard grown as a defender? How much better has, Nesmith got as an offensive player? And, at times honestly, in this series, I didn't like the Nesmith matchup on Donovan Mitchell. I came into this thinking you might have to put Nesmith on Mitchell and Nembhard on Garland, but I actually thought Nesmith did a much better job on Garland and or Ty Jerome when he was in the game versus Mitchell. Just different players, but we know that Brunson's a very herky-jerky, foul-baiting kind of guy, so you're going to need guys to step up, and we'll see what happens with, foul merchant. We'll have to see what happens in that series, but just to kind of reflect on this one a little bit more, Facci, I mean, Myles Turner was so good in game 4, obviously, but in game 5, didn't have the greatest stat line, but he hit that big shot, that huge block that he chased down Donovan Mitchell for. It's like Mitchell slowed down to lay it up.
All effort.
It could have been a goaltend. It really could have been, but I think because he hustled and got down there and it was so close, they didn't call it. I mean, I thought it was just great, and then was it Mathurin that followed up with that?
Mathurin, yep. The back-to-back blocks, like, if Turner doesn't make that effort, and like, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think Turner was gonna get there. Like, Turner easily could have just took it a little bit lighter and let Mitchell score. But by chasing that down and then Mathurin feeds off of that and he gets the block, that to me started to feel like, the Pacers want it bad. Like they want it real bad. They're digging deep and they're making things tough. And I felt like there was a time where Cleveland just could not convert around the rim. They just really couldn't. And sure, we'll need bigger scoring performances from Turner. But 10 points, 7 boards, 4 blocks. The 4 blocks was awesome, but that 3, how fitting is it for the man of 10 years, the longest tenured Pacer, to hit the dagger, to pull out the hammer and hit that final nail in the coffin for Cleveland and send us to the conference finals for a guy that for so long didn't have playoff success and stayed the course with the Pacers. When you see him hit that shot, it's like, how could you not bring this man back? Just write him a check and say, let me know when you mail it back. Like, it's just, at this point, Turner, he fits with his team like a glove, and he's been huge at times for this team.
He's been awesome. I mean, honestly, like the minutes he's not on the floor, I get petrified. I get so nervous when Toppin's out there as a small ball 5 or when Thomas Bryant's out there.
Thomas Bryant had a moment. He had a moment.
He had 9 points tonight.
He had 9 points in the third. I mean, it was really like...
Say that again.
9 points in the third for Thomas Bryant. I mean, I remember being like, we are surviving the Thomas Bryant minutes right now. Surviving or thriving, however you want to put it. But like after that, I was like, I think we're good. I don't know if we need to see Thomas Bryant for the rest of the game. He did what we needed during those couple minutes.
I mean, when he led a fast break by himself, coast to coast,
Hit a
Thomas
three?
Bryant.
Whew.
I loved it. I loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
he had a three, right? He had an and one. I mean,
It-
Thomas
he did.
Bryant, it's one of those things where I want to say it almost every game. It's just like this dude is a third string center that is playing backup center for the Pacers. They need a better option at the backup five, and I still think that's the truth. But he
Yep.
still does things that impact the game in a positive way. So
Sure.
this is why, he was on the Nuggets when they won a championship. So he
Mhm.
does have championship experience. He's been around that culture. So he does know what it takes. Bruce Brown was a part of that team as well, who was traded for Pascal Siakam. But yeah, it's just good to have somebody that Rick Carlisle feels like he can trust. I did not love the Ben Shepherd minutes there in the fourth quarter. Was not really sure about
Yeah.
that versus Nembhard. But if it got Nembhard a quick blow, I'm fine with it. I'm not going to complain too much, obviously, but let's just talk about the job Rick Carlisle did, because the adjustment that he made from game 3 to game 4, and then for the Pacers to be ready for this game, just that coaching staff, the way they had these guys prepared, it just speaks volumes to how talented that group is. And Facci, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but let's just address the elephant in the room here really quick. The Pacers have a legitimate shot at making it to the NBA Finals this year.
Really do.
They literally can make it to the finals, and depending on who's there, I wouldn't be surprised if they won the whole thing. And I cannot believe I'm saying that at this point in my life. Here we are in 2025. I never thought I would be saying this, but there is a window that is opening right now for the Pacers, and they're playing the best basketball that they've played in a very, very long time, and they're playing as good as anybody.
I got goosebumps right now. I really do. I'm going to be honest. I'm trying not to get emotional right now. This is the closest in my whole entire life of being a fan, of loving this team for well over 20 years, that I really think that we can win a championship. And I'm not just saying it to be like, oh, well, why can't we? No, like OKC, they never been there. The Denver Nuggets are should be happy to be 2-2 right now. It's kind of surprising a lot of people. The Knicks, sure, you made additions to that. I'm not afraid of the Knicks. There's always been a LeBron James and other superstars standing in the Pacers' way, or a Shaq and Kobe in the Pacers' way in the finals, or just some sort of situation before. It's not like that anymore. Every single series, to be honest, to me, is at worst a 50-50 shot for the Pacers. If it's Pacers Knicks, you can't tell me it's not 50-50. There's no way the Knicks are going to be heavy favorites. If it's Pacers versus Nuggets, hey, look, is it going to be easy? No, but I still feel like it's 50-50. If it's against OKC, look, OKC, good regular season team. I don't care what you did for most of the months. I see what you're doing in the playoffs. You don't look as good as the Pacers look right now. Like that Memphis team that OKC ran into they didn't belong in the playoffs. That Memphis team, they were falling apart, it seems. What we've seen from the Pacers handled the Bucks. The Pacers handled Cleveland. No lead was safe against the Indiana Pacers, and I still think some of their players didn't play their best games. Pascal Siakam did not have a great series. Pascal Siakam is capable of a much better series. Tyrese Haliburton had a couple dud games, at times that weren't great. I think he's capable of much more. The bench did not live up to what we need them to be. At times, a couple guys, they can be more. We were turning the ball over a bunch of times. This Pacers team can be better. I don't think we've seen the best of them yet.
No, we haven't. And I think that's what is so exciting, because you still hope to see more, hope to see better play, right? Like we saw this team raise their level to the Celtics last year when they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They got swept. They lost Haliburton in game 2, but they still, on their home court, almost beat the Celtics twice, with Andrew Nembhard kind of leading the team. And so I think that they just kind of smell blood a little bit. I think they smell like, you know what? We're not the 2021 Hawks. We're not going to be doing this, oh, we're the Trae Young Hawks that had a fluke run. No, they're back in the Eastern Conference Finals. Look, and they're waiting for their opponent. That's what makes it even more special. So we know that if the Knicks win tomorrow night, it'll be Monday, May 19th, the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals. If not, it'll be Wednesday, May 21st for the first game if the Celtics win. So we know that. But I just want to say this. There's a couple of things out here. Myles Turner on Twitter, he shared a graphic of all the Cavaliers predictions from ESPN. I think it was 13 analysts picked the Cavs to go 13-0 in this series. He said job's not done yet. And then Kendrick Perkins from ESPN has done a complete 180 from what he said at the beginning of the year. He says this: I'm beyond impressed with the coaching, leadership, and togetherness of this Pacers team. I overlooked them all season long, and shame on me. This team is real and legit. This team is what agenda-free basketball looks like. You're starting to get people to believe, and
They
what
are.
better place to do it than by taking out the 64-win Cavaliers team, the team that established the name Believeland. People are starting to believe now in the Indiana Pacers.
They really are. I watched them throw us on NBA TV. I watched them throw. We were on ESPNU at one point. It was ESPNU. I remember it was basically saying if you don't get this channel, that's where you could find them. That's how they looked at us. Whatever, none of these teams, the Bucks, Pacers, they're not really gonna make a run. So let's just give them. We played at 6 p.m. Do you remember when they gave us the 6 p.m. time slot? That's the lack of respect for, like, well, this isn't a featured series. We're not going to give them like the late night games. We had to earn every single piece of respect that we got along the way. And now teams are, analysts are saying, wow, we were wrong. And that's great. It took a long time to get here. And last year, I don't care what you guys think or whatever it is, we were just happy to be there against Boston. People didn't believe that we could beat the Celtics. It was, wow, what a fun run we've been on. Like, I really don't want this to end. Like, maybe we can win a game, Hey, whatever it could. And like, even though they got swept, we were still really proud of last year's run and this team. Despite losing Tyrese in there, they fought, they made it close. Man, I'm going into this Knicks series saying, why not? Why can't we win? And that's how I feel. No one scares me right now that's left, in this run. Who knows what even happens with, Minnesota and Golden State. I think Golden State's done. But, like, none of those teams worry me. I mean, look how we played against Minnesota. Hey, Obi Toppin would love that matchup right about now. So I just think that for right now, I just feel so confident and proud in this group that from top to bottom, they're hustling. They're playing defense. We don't need to score 125 to 130 points to win these games. We could muck it up. We could have it be a little bit ugly, 114 or in some of these cases a little bit less. But this Pacers team also can score points, but they can play defense. There was games in this series they held Cleveland at 105, 109, 104. Against the Bucks, 103, 101, 98. Like, they've had some of those type of performances, and man, they just feel mentally ready for this type of run.
Yeah, they've gotten so much better defensively, Facci, and that's the big thing, right? It's not just, oh, they're an offensive team that can put up 120 points. No, it's they can play defense now. And sure, they're not a great defensive team, but they're a solid defensive team. They're a good defensive team. I mean, Turner has kind of put the clocks back a few years, and it feels like he's playing the rim protector. The rim protector role we've been wanting him to be at a little bit more the last couple of seasons. It seems like he's improved there. Nembhard and Nesmith, obviously, just drastic change, like jumps once again from what they were last year. Like, they were still good defenders last year, but they've taken another step. And I think the guy that we got to give the most props to for his development as a defender is Tyrese Haliburton. Tyrese Haliburton, oh my gosh. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen him get steals or blocks and just being in the right spot at the right time. Sure, there's times like we saw, like the way they started out the second half. I mean, it was unbelievable. They let Darius Garland walk down the paint. Siakam just stuck in the mud, watches him go right by. Nembhard yelling, step up from the other side because Nesmith got beat. And nobody stepped up. He gets a wide open layup. Rick Carlisle calls a timeout. They get things sorted out, but it's just like you cannot have those mental lapses moving forward as you get better, as you play more competition, better competition. So I just think that little things like that, you can let that happen against the Cavaliers team who was kind of like falling asleep. It just felt like this Cavs team, in my opinion, they almost looked like they were just ready for the season to be over with at this point. I think the Pacers kind of took the life out of them in that game 4 when they went up 80-39. I thought we might see the Cavs team talk themselves into, hey, you know what? All we got to do is win game 5. We can go and steal game 6. We're back home for game 7. Like, you can see that narrative. I think that Charles Barkley even talked about that on TNT after game 4. Like, this is what the Cavs have to do. And we haven't seen a 3-1 series comeback, Facci, since the bubble, when the Nuggets did it in back-to-back series against the Jazz and the Clippers. It's very hard to do. 90-something percent, 94% I think it is, teams win when they're up 3-1 in that series. So Pacers put themselves in a good spot. And I think, honestly, like, it's just when you think about this team moving forward, they're going to play tougher teams, and they're going to have to get tougher. But we've seen them rise to the occasion, and that is what makes me have confidence in this team. And I have to ask you this because, look,
What do you got?
if the Pacers make the NBA Finals, as long as the Thunder don't make it, they will have home court advantage against the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, or the Warriors, depending on who else gets there if the Thunder don't make it. So I'm not going to lie. I'm not rooting for OKC. I'm rooting for
No,
anybody but OKC. Number one, I think they're a matchup problem. And
they
number
are.
two, I don't want to be on the road to start a series if we are in the NBA Finals. So I think it's a great opportunity to be at home. And we've seen them play good against Denver. Obviously, Jokic is going to scare the crap out of you, and you should probably fear Jokic because he is unbelievable, and that team is battle-tested. But they only play about 6 guys.
Mhm.
Minnesota, they're a very interesting team. Obviously, I think a lot of people would be interested in Minnesota versus New York just because of the Julius Randle trade that took place and all that history there. But even Golden State, like if Steph comes back healthy, like obviously that's scary. But they beat the Warriors twice this year, and so they beat Minnesota twice this year. They beat the Nuggets 1 out of 2 times this year. So I know you went through all that earlier, but just to kind of reiterate it, it's just like, man, there is legit belief that they can take down one of these teams, and so I'm just excited, but obviously got to get through the East first before you start talking about the finals. But it's there for the taking almost. It really is.
It really is. It's hard to not get carried away. I am fired up right now, and I just feel like if you've been a Pacer fan for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it may be. Like, this is the reward. This is it. Like a couple years ago, Alex, when you and I started this podcast, this team was downright mediocre. They were a
Tough out.
up out. I mean, that's what it is. That we were just happy to be in the playoffs year after year. That's how it was looked at. Like, make the playoffs, okay, that's what the Pacers do. And then you saw this team wasn't even good enough to make the playoffs, and they were, just a rebuilding team, uncharted territory as a Pacer fan. But they turned it around real quick. And I remember there was a time where coming into last season, we were like, if we can make the play-in, man, that's a step forward. That really is. And we took a leap. And now expectations are really high. And I feared that going into this year that, like, man, if they didn't make the Eastern Conference Finals, now we have these unrealistic expectations. But from unrealistic to realistic, this is who we are. We have a really good team right now. And it's not just like on paper. We have a team that has chemistry, a team that is like, together. They love being around each other. There hasn't been any of these locker room stories or drama amongst the team. Like, this group is here for each other, and no lead is safe. That they can come back from anything. And I think just right now, while we have the time, and it might not be until Monday or it might not be until Wednesday, soak this in a little bit about what we're seeing here. That this roster is together for the most part. They're signed under contract for numerous years, and this is sustainable moving forward.
Rick Carlisle, post-game press conference. We're talking about 8 more wins for an NBA championship. The league is wide open this year. We just got to keep believing.
You gotta. And
the coach is talking about that.
I mean, when they're doing that, it really sends a message to the players that the players got to believe that. Like, it's just different. If you win a championship in Indiana, that will live for a lifetime. A lifetime. My whole life of being a Pacer fan, everyone's always said, yeah, but you'll never win a championship. That's what they've said. You'll never win a championship because how are the Pacers going to win a championship? How are they going to compete against, all those other teams that can just spend so much more money and attract free agency and everything? The front office has done it the right way. They have nailed draft picks. They have nailed trades. Like, they have just done it. Like, there are not big name free agents that have signed on this team. I mean, think about it. Who's the biggest free agent that this team even has? Are we talking about TJ McConnell? I mean, what are we talking about? I mean, obviously Siakam re-signed, but we traded for Siakam. That's why you traded for Haliburton. You traded for Aaron Nesmith. You drafted Turner. Like, you traded for Obi Toppin. From top to bottom, you drafted Andrew Nembhard. You drafted Benedict Mathurin. Like, I mean, trade for Thomas Brown. I'm just going down the list.
Signed James Wiseman and traded him.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just there are no big guys that picked this Pacers team or anything like that. This was done like, very calculated, and you got to tip your hat to the front office the way they did it.
Yeah, no, I can't say enough great things about what Kevin, Chad, and Ted have done to get this team together. And look, it's easy to make moves after you have a really good run and you don't live up to the expectations, or I guess they lived up to the expectations, but they didn't, exceed expectations, or they got swept against the Celtics. Maybe you're thinking you're a little bit closer than you are. Pacers said, you know what, we're just going to run it back with the same group, and running it back is a good thing in this situation. They do add in Thomas Bryant because Isaiah Jackson and James Wiseman got hurt. Jalen Smith left in free agency, but other than that, didn't really have any other changes. They drafted Johnny Furphy. That's another guy that they added to the mix. But other than that, Tony Bradley, of course, is another signing. But anyway, I'm just getting at the point here. They kept the same core together that was going to be playing significant minutes, and they didn't really make any moves at the trade deadline. There was a lot of speculation. Could they trade Obi Toppin? Could they move on from Obi because they need to, create cap space? Well, they didn't have to do any of that stuff. They said, you know what, we're going to keep this group together. They weathered the storm at that 10-15 start, and now, Facci, 42-16 since January 1st. I think I said 44 earlier. My math was wrong. I was thinking of 10 playoff games, and I gave them 10 wins.
Never have been.
I'm not a bad math person. 42-16. But anyway, it's simple math. I'm just saying this is what you have to give them props for, because they let this team grow organically together, and the chemistry that they've developed, Facci, it's something that you can't just teach. A lot of times when you have these championship level teams or these runs like this, it takes chemistry to get that established. And you can get that over an 82 game season, but to have basically a year and a half of that now since I've gotten Siakam, it just kind of shows you. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm running out of things to talk about here before we just start previewing the next series, but man, it just feels so good to end this one on the road in 5 games. I mean, that is just all I can come back to. What an excellent effort from the Pacers.
I know. Look, there's always the, oh wow, could you imagine what it would have been like to win at home in front of the home crowd and all that? Like, hey, while in theory that's great, I'm happy the Pacers got it done in Cleveland, and now they have some extra time to just kind of regroup, get things together, really game plan. I mean, you could imagine that they'll probably be, like we said, game planning for the Knicks. That gives them just a leg up. So you're talking about just any advantage that you could possibly have, you want to be able to have. And that's what the Pacers have right now by having time on their side and health. So, this group, couldn't be more proud of this group. I'm just so excited. Man, this feeling's going to last for a while. It really is. I will not forget this run. And I've said it on the show before. This is how you create new fans. There's so many people, when we used to do our Fan of the Week segment, where people would come on the show, what made you a fan, or what are your earliest memories? People say, man, those back-to-back conference finals years, those were so special, or anything of the sort. Now, for the next generation, that this is what they'll remember.
Yeah.
Oh, I became a Pacer fan. They went to back-to-back conference finals. Man, I'll never forget that. And that is where we're at now, making new memories, making new fans, and people will always look back on these years and say everything for this franchise changed the moment they traded for Tyrese Haliburton. That is when everything, the course changed. And I even thought about this earlier today. What about the days when Tyrese said, I'm tired of not winning. I'm tired of losing. I am tired of not making the playoffs. And now look at him now, just back-to-back deep conference finals runs. This is how you earn that respect around the league. And whether he was banged up or not with Team USA, that was the guy that was riding the bench on Team USA. And now at times, look at him, man. He is an absolute star in the eyes of everybody.
I mean, LeBron James was tweeting about him tonight. LeBron James. He said, Tyrese is cooking.
That he is.
So I just want to point this out here as we close this out. I tweeted this out. We've talked about it before, but it was part of the reason why I picked the Pacers to beat the Cavs too. When I told you and Schultz I had them in 7, I said the Indiana Pacers have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Every year they've beaten the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round. In 1999, they lost to the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. In 2000, they beat the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. In 2024, they lost to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. 2025, we'll have to see what happens. But someone commented, great point here. I want to see who brought this up. This is a soft fried said this. Rick Carlisle was there for all 3 times that they made it. So he'll be here for the 4th time. So all 4 Eastern Conference Finals appearances where the Pacers have beaten the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round, Rick Carlisle has been a part of it. So Rick might be getting this team to its 2nd ever NBA Finals if they can get out of the Eastern Conference Finals against whoever they play, whether it's the Knicks or the Celtics.
And for Rick's legacy, that would be great because, people got to remember, actually, I think Carlisle still has a playoff record below 500. It's getting really close to getting to 500. So I know he just recently became, most playoff wins in franchise history. But like, if Carlisle is able to get to another NBA Finals, I mean, that would really be something that that solidifies you as a Hall of Fame coach. I know people have said, "Hey, he's definitely a Hall of Fame coach." I'm sure he probably is, but getting to another, NBA Finals, that will lock you in as a Hall of Fame coach. Pacers are. That's another thing. When I said everything changed, when Tyrese Haliburton, came here, getting Carlisle first was really what changed everything. Oh my God, Nate Bjorkgren. I mean, it took me. I had to dig deep there. We had Nate Bjorkgren for a year, and everything at this franchise fell apart, and people forget about that. Like, we have just mentally wiped out that type of memory. But this team, this franchise, was going in an opposite direction, and bringing in Rick Carlisle is something that Carlisle had the guts to be able to say, like, look, it's not working out. Let's start over. And man, we're really happy that we did hit that reset button, because this team right now is one you could be proud of.
Yeah, the Nate Bjorkgren was like take one step backwards and move two step forward type thing, right? Like you deal with that bad year just to get things right with Rick Carlisle. So, it's just a great opportunity and a great moment here for the Pacers to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. And Facci, I love the Pacers' pettiness on their Twitter account. They don't usually do it too often. We see other accounts do a little bit more petty stuff, but they wrote 4-1. That's the diff.
That's nice. That is the diff.
Oh man! And so I was we got to make sure we bring this up to at the end of the podcast. Our friend Bob Schmidt from Fear the Fro Pod. Let's talk about this. He came on here and confidently said that if the Pacers even made it to a Game 7, he would write us a new theme song, and it's going to be a parody song and all this fun stuff. He said if they just made it to a Game 7. He didn't even tell us what he was going to do if they actually won the series in 5. So we'll have to see what happens. But I did listen to his podcast after the Cavs won Game 3. He said, shut the piano. The Cavs are coming back. Well, buddy, you might want to open that piano back up, because a song needs to be written for your boys over here at Setting the Pace.
Hey, nothing but love and respect for Bob. I could be wrong. Did Bob predict Cavs in 5?
Every Cavs podcast picked Cavs in 5. Locked On Cavs, Chase Down Pod, the Fear the Fro Pod. They all got a little bit ahead of themselves. They didn't even worry about Darius Garland's injury. I mean, did they not realize how good this Pacers team is? They were not putting respect on their name.
Picking Cavs in 5 is such like a pity. Like, they're cute. They'll win one game. Pacers, they could probably get one. And it's like, wow, man. I mean, look, I would like to think that hopefully the Cavs are not like blaming. I know we heard from Cavs fans, oh, they're dirty, this, that. It's like, look, you guys suffered some injuries, and it's definitely very unfortunate. But Indiana outplayed Cleveland in this series. When Cleveland had multiple games in this series where they led by 19 or 20 plus points, multiple games, and Indiana was able to come back in those. So you can't blame injuries on that. Cleveland had big leads that they just could not hold on to. So yeah, Bob, I'm looking forward to the song. We appreciate you, and I know we haven't seen the last of Bob. He'll be back.
Yeah, and we love Bob. Bob's great, and we're excited to hear that parody song whenever it does get to us after he records his post-game podcast. But yeah, I will just say this. I felt like the Pacers completely took the Cavs out of their identity this entire series. I don't know. I might have tweeted it. I might have put it in the group chat, but I just felt like the Cavs were playing iso ball the entirety of this game. I mean, too often we saw maybe one pass drive to the basket, hunting for fouls. Like, oh, let me see if I can do some one-on-one cooking with Darius Garland or Donovan Mitchell. And then, oh, Evan Mobley get a shot at the end of the shot clock. Or, oh, we finally got Mobley a good look. Like, he'll shoot one. But for the most part, it was not Cavs basketball like we saw all season long. It was a lot of hero ball and trying to make the big punch to put the Pacers out, where the Pacers were just like, all right, you can play that game. We're just going to keep moving the basketball and get guys open looks. And that's why you saw so many different guys hit big shots at different times throughout the series. Obviously, the Cavs had guys hit buckets too, don't get me wrong, but it was just the flow of the game and how it came about. So I obviously can go in more detail about what this actual game meant to this. I could break this game down even more if I wanted to, but I just felt like we pretty much hit everything. It's a celebration podcast. I know it's time to go. Really Player awards. Do we want to do that at the end here? Just so we wrap it up?
Let's just do it. Let's finish the job. I mean, look, we'll start with MVP. It's an easy one.
Tyrese.
I mean, just like this is the dude. This is the guy. Like, this is another resume building type of performance for Tyrese.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Defensive player of the game. Who are we going with here?
Nembhard was a dog. I mean, he really was. I feel like you got to give Nembhard some credit. I mean, look, Pacers defense was fantastic. They had numerous guys that battled, but I think Nembhard was definitely someone that I want to tip my hat to.
All right, no arguments here. Our Feisty Foster player of the game. Who are we going with on this one?
mean, Turner had some feisty blocks in this game. I think you know, you can give it a Turner. Who do you got?
Yeah, I would say Turner. Maybe you can give Turner the clutch player of the game because he hit the dagger three at the
Sure.
end. But
We could do there was a couple clutch moments. That was like the solidifying one, like
yeah,
Nembhard and one was also huge. Or you know, whatever it was. Yeah, Nembhard's and one was huge. I mean, Haliburton doing what he did with the block and then him hitting it. I mean, that was huge. There was just guys down the stretch that were just massive.
yeah. I mean, for Feisty Foster, who led the team in rebounds?
Aaron Nesmith,
I think he deserves it.
13
13
boards.
rebounds
That
tonight.
that that is feisty. I mean, this is a guy that is always. I mean, think about what we've always said about Neesmith. Like he's good, but he's undersized. He's undersized. That man plays bigger than his size.
Mhm.
Like the dog in him is always barking. And for that man to pull down 13 boards in this game, that's the type of performance where he's taking his game to the next level.
Couldn't agree more. And then I think clutch player of the game, we got to go with Myles for the dagger.
We can do that. We can do that.
I mean, obviously Ty probably deserves it for the steal that he had, plus the and one to get it back up to 7 points. There's so many guys you could say. Nembhard had a huge three when it was getting close.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, clutch player of the game. Like, if there's not a game winner here to give it to, we could just do a different award. But I think it's fine giving it to Turner just because we're trying to spread the love here. And then, do we have an award for Pascal Siakam? I mean, I'm not giving him one tonight because I don't feel like he fits any of the criteria. But could we make up one just for this specific game?
I don't know what you'd call it. I mean, look, like the man had dropped 21, 8, and 5. Like
The
on
David
most
West Award.
sure. Yeah, look, I think that's good. I mean, 21, 8, and 5, and it's like, you know, barely getting any shine. It's just because like the starters were just that good that it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. For Siakam, who, you know, had really good shooting percentages on the year, just 8 of 20 tonight, but like we're talking about 21, 8, and 5. Like the
Yeah.
man was impacting the game, played good defense. He was a plus 10. Like it's just you know, this is just a solid performance, like a really solid, it's above, you know, solid. But like I still know he's due for like a breakout type of game, and that's what really excites me.
Yeah, the Reliable Veteran Award, David West Award, will go to
Yep.
him. And then I think for our sixth man of the game,
I'm
Thomas
going
Bryant.
you.
Rick
Yeah,
Carlisle said that was the best stretch you will ever see from a backup big in a playoff series.
it was huge. I mean, I literally was in awe at times of being like, wow, Thomas Bryant right now, like kind of cooking. And you know, he really was. So for Thomas Bryant, those limited minutes he's made the most of. Like we don't need Thomas Bryant. You know, we even said this coming into the playoffs. Like, can Thomas Bryant give you 10 good minutes? Like spread out, not 10 good minutes in a row, but a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. And I felt like that's what he's done at times. We've seen bad Thomas Bryant, we've seen good Thomas Bryant. Tonight, man, that third quarter was great, Thomas Bryant.
Yeah, it was. It was a far cry from what we saw in the first quarter when he was shooting a 17-foot fadeaway post up.
That was bad. That was a really bad
Why would
shot.
TJ put him in that spot? That's on TJ for giving him the ball with the shot clock expiring, but he was looking for a foul. I was like, Thomas, come on, brother. Just take the shot clock violation. Don't even shoot that. You're making yourself look worse than Tony Bradley against the Wizards hitting it off the side of the backboard from three. So it was a rough shot. But I think what makes Thomas Bryant so fun is like you can laugh at some of the plays he makes, but he's still like he has short-term memory loss. He just keeps moving on to the next play. And yeah, you know, there was a foul I think that he had in game 4 where he like just was like running back on defense and like ran into somebody and like knocked him over and they called a foul on him. And just he can be clumsy at times, but I respect what he did in that third quarter. Kudos to him. So with that being said, Facci, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you everybody for being a part of this podcast. More previews coming up, more podcast content coming up. We'll get that for you guys. Try to do almost almost a podcast every day just to keep it going. We love the interactions we're getting. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview I did yesterday with Steven Simon, the Pacers alternate governor of the Indiana Pacers. If you did not listen to that, go back and listen to it. I think it's a must listen. Really good to hear from him. Obviously, you know, before this series wraps up, we did talk about this series a little bit, but more so just reflecting on some of the good play from the Pacers. So anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Now, just hey guys, let it soak in, man. We're going back to the conference finals, a place that the Indiana historically has belonged. I mean, there was a time where I think only like the Spurs or it was like us and the Spurs had made the most conference finals over like a 20-year span. Like the Pacers are back. We're not going anywhere. Like we said, the core of this team is under contract for the next few years, and to me, that feels really good. I don't want this to end at any time, and right now, it ain't even close to ending. You know, like we said, we got a couple days before this next series even starts, and I ain't scared of no one. So bring it on, whoever it may be. The Indiana Pacers ain't running from nobody.
Nope. Well, they can't because they're front running, Facci. They're front
Yeah,
running
that's
once
what they
again
say.
back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Bobby Portis, enjoy
Yeah.
watching the Pacers on your couch once again, my man. Pacers are front runners. He's the one that started that whole thing, so he's going to get labeled with it. But last thing here, just a fun fact. I just got this tweet sent to me as a message. Players to have 200 plus assists, 75 plus made threes, and 15 plus wins through 25 career playoff games. Tyrese Haliburton, and that is it.
Wow.
No other player has done that in NBA
like a
history.
Magic Johnson or something like that, some elite category, but that's crazy. And the fact that there's still people that could say he's overrated or whatever it is, it's like, guys, you're just lying. You just don't like the guy. And you could admit that, but you can't knock his play on the court. Like that, he is special, and I'm so happy that he is an Indiana Pacer. And if we're winning and he's happy, man, I'm telling you, players are going to want to come. This is how you change the perception of the Indiana Pacers. You become a team that's winning. And when you have a guy like that, he's going to get others paid. And we talked about this a couple of years ago of what the idea could be, but that was like before we were really winning. We are winning now, and this is how you attract free agents.
Absolutely, Facci. So we have gone way too long. I appreciate everybody for staying with us. But with that being said, Facci, if you're hoping the Pacers can continue this momentum as they ride on that wave into the Eastern Conference Finals, and you hope they can take down whatever opponent they face in the Eastern Conference Finals, hit me with those 3 words.
Let's go, Pacers!